You have elected to do the should do final drawing. And so for the should do final drawing, you are going to take your best idea. So if I look at all my multi-view drawings, so these are the ones that I created: top view, side view, side view, again a different one, top view and side view, my fourth option, top view and side view. If I look at all of those and I make a decision that of which kind of top view I want my car to look like, which side view I want it to look like, that's going to be the first step. So I'm just going to take, I like both of these. I don't have to choose. I could choose this side view and this top view if I wanted, but I think I like both of these, so this is going to be my option. This is what I'm going to recreate for my final drawing. Now I want to do this to scale, meaning I want to make this the actual size that my car is going to be. So what I mean by that is if this is the block of wood, I want it to be just like this, from the side view. So I want it to be the exact size, and if I flip it and look at it from top down, I want it to be this exact size. Okay, so how are we going to do that? All right, so the first step would be to get this scale drawing template from your teacher. Now this one you're not going to want to draw on this paper, you're just going to trace it. This is probably one of the easiest ways that you can do this. This is the exact size of that block of wood that I just showed. So from the side you can see I can just kind of line this up right there. It just covers up that whole outline. If I flip it to the top, it does the same thing. So these rectangles are the same exact size that you would, or the block of wood that you're going to start with. This is what it would look like from the top and the side. Now, since this is a copy, I can't erase. Ultimately, I want my final drawing to look something like this. Okay, now you're not going to have to add dimensions to this, but you can see kind of these outlines right here where I had that block of wood, I had the outline of this, and I erased to make the outline that's left look just like the car that I'm going to try to create. So that's what we want to be left with. So how are we going to do that? We're going to start by tracing this so that we can erase, because these marks on this copied paper we can't erase. So the first thing that I'll do, I've got my template. You get that from your teacher. Get a blank piece of paper. You're just going to hold this over the top, and we're going to trace. Now you can maybe see some lines under here. It's maybe difficult with this camera. I can see, but the easiest way for me just to make sure that I'm drawing nice straight lines is just to mark the corners. So if I go down here to the side view, I'm going to mark one of the corners right there. I see another corner here. If I hold it up, there's another corner right here, and another corner right there. Then I can take a ruler, and I can use a ruler to just connect the dots. Draw lightly right away, because you are going to have to erase things. So if I draw lightly, there you can see that I connected the corners. It's nice and straight. I can do the same thing from this top line here. Again, draw lightly because you are going to have to erase. Okay. Then I can go over onto the side, use my ruler, trace lightly, go to the back over here, and do the same thing. Alright, so let's pause the video, go ahead and create both, trace both the upper rectangle and the bottom, the top view and the side view of kind of that starting position. Alright, so now you can see that I've done this. Again, I still have the template underneath. I've just traced this. Now we also want to account for these dotted lines. These dotted lines represent the air hole. We need to know exactly where that is, because if we put these holes in the wrong spot, or if we aren't paying attention to them and we draw and we kind of cut through this, our cars aren't going to be powered down the track because air is going to blow through the hole and right out the other side if we cut through that. So I'm going to do the same thing. Okay? I'm going to match up my papers again, so I have the template underneath. The easiest thing, in my opinion, is just to mark kind of the corners of the rectangle. So there's the ones on top. On the bottom one here, there's a corner, another corner like this. Okay, so I've got the template underneath. I can set this aside for now. And now I'm just going to connect those. And with a dotted line though, because again this represents where the air hole is, we can't see those. Okay, I can connect the end of this with the dotted line as well. There you see that's where the air hole is. That's why it's dotted line, because this is drilled in the middle of your block of wood, in the middle of your car, your dragster, and you're not going to be able to see exactly where that is. And if we look at the specifications, again, we remember that it's a 2-inch hole. It gets drilled in 2 inches. Notice that this is exactly 2 inches. Okay? So there is now my beginning kind of block of wood. This is actually drawn to scale. So now let's say I make the choice to cut my car down to 6 inches. This is 7.5 inches. That's what we're starting with. A block of wood that's 7.5 inches. If, for instance, I want to cut it down to 6 inches, I'm going to start in the back. I'll just do this at the top. I'll have to do this from both the side view and the top view. There's 6 inches. I can go to the beginning of the ruler, make a mark, do the same thing down here, 6 inches, because whether I look at it from the side or whether I look at it from the top, the car is going to be the same length either way. Now I can use my ruler. I can measure, draw a line down where 6 inches is. This is right here where I have the X's. I'm going to use the saws when I get my block of wood. I'm going to use the saws and I'm going to cut that off of there. So now I can take my eraser and I can just erase all of this, because remember, we want to end with a drawing that looks like this, where it's just the outline of what our car is going to be. We don't want to have any of that those extra lines to confuse us. We want what's the car going to exactly look like. All right? So this is, I can go ahead and I can erase this, and I want to do that on the top view and the side view. So now you can see that I've erased. You can kind of see a little bit of the outlines, but that's why we're drawing lightly, because we are going to have to erase. So now this is the exact length that I want my car to be. If you think it's going to help you to leave your car the same length that you started with, the 7.5 inches, then you wouldn't need to do that. But I wanted to do that just so you get an idea of how, as you design this car, you are going to kind of erase as you draw lines. So if I go back to here, so these are the cars that I'm going to make. Now this is flipped around opposite from this right here, because here where the air holes are the back. But I want to make my car from the side now look like this. So using that as a guide from the side, I grab my ruler again. From the side, I had kind of an angled piece that looks like this. That was kind of an air, I guess, kind of like what do you call those things? A spoiler on the back of a car. I have a kind of a straight edge that goes this around that air hole, just because I don't want to drill through it. Okay, if I go back, now I have a curved kind of line. Rather than just doing this freehand, I'm going to find something that's curved a little bit. So I've got this little cup that's curved. So I'm just going to kind of trace down a little bit and kind of make that kind of curved line that I wanted to make. Kind of like this. I'm going to erase. And I kind of curved it the other way down to the front of the car. And so now I'm just going to curve it right down to the front of the car. I apologize. There you go. Now I can erase. I can get rid of that line. And all of this up here I can erase as well, because then this is the outline of my car. I'm going to pause the video here and erase that for you. So now you can see the final, this is the exact size and shape that my final car is going to be from the side. Now I want to do the same thing to the top. So I'm going to go back to my template. This is what I want it to look like from the top. I'm going to do kind of the same exact thing to this to get it to look the design that I want it to be. Here you can see now that I have the design of the top. I will need to erase So those are the parts that I'm going to cut out, those parts with the X's. So I'm going to want to erase those lines and those spaces. And now that I've erased, you can see I have the top view of what I want my car to look like. This is the exact size and shape that my car is going to be. And I have the side view as well of what my car is going to look like. Alright, so this is your final drawing, and it's drawn to scale, the actual size. If you have questions about this, please make sure you reach out to your teacher and ask. Otherwise, happy creating your car.